So yeah, hi, good afternoon everyone, and a very warm welcome to today's session. I'm Richard Hyam, and I'm a member of the neurodiversity and disability communities within the Diversity Project, for which of you that don't know is a cross-company initiative championing a truly diverse, equitable and inclusive UK investment and savings industry. So hopefully that sounds good to you. It's fantastic to see such a strong representation today from across the investment and insurance sector, coming together around a shared belief that neurodiversity is not a nice to have, but a critical part of building stronger, more innovative and more human organisations. After all, around 1 in 7 of us has some form of neurodivergent spice. Today you'll hear about 4 exciting industry-led initiatives. These initiatives aren't theoretical, they're practical, collaborative and designed to scale across our industry. Following the team presentations, every delegate can join 2 consecutive 20-minute breakout sessions by clicking the relevant links named Mindshift Breakout, Nexus Breakout and Playbook Breakout. You can find the links in the chat or in the reminder email or in your diary invite. Please shout if you've got any difficulties. The breakouts allow you to explore 2 teams and their initiatives in greater depth, provide insights, challenge thinking, and help shape the next steps. And finally, you'll get the chance to put any outstanding questions to all the teams when we return to the main room after the 2 consecutive breakout sessions. I want to just take a moment and share why this event matters to me personally. I have autism, ADHD, and a specific learning difference, which is similar to dyslexia. And from my experience, I know I have a huge amount to offer. My deep thinking combined with creativity and the ability to hyperfocus means I'm well placed to solve complex problems, spot patterns that others may miss, and bring fresh perspectives. Many neurodivergent individuals are the same. But I've also learned something else. Without a supportive environment, a significant amount of that value is lost. Instead of thriving, you can end up feeling like an ugly duckling, capable but unseen or misunderstood. And while technology absolutely has a role to play, as you'll see from today's presentations, it's very often the softer side of things, being seen, understood and included, that has the greatest potential for positive impact. Before we hear from the teams, I'd like to introduce Marilyn Swinney. Marilyn is the chair of GAIN's Investment Working Group and also serves on GAIN's Supervisory Board. In addition, she's a fellow member with me of the Neurodiversity and Disability communities within the Diversity Project. She's going to tell you more about the story so far behind GAIN's Dragon's Den. Over to you, Marilyn.
Thank you, Richard. I truly appreciate you sharing how your neurodivergence drives unique skills and fresh approaches in your role. It's exactly this kind of talent potential essential for innovation and growth in our industry that brought our 4 teams together today. Before we move on, let's show Richard some appreciation using the on-screen reactions. Hopefully you can find them. Thank you.
Thank you. Could have been awkward without anything.
Please keep those reactions coming to support our speakers as they share their journeys. The backstory. 1 year ago, GAIN's Investment Working Group hosted an investment design thinking workshop at Schroders to revolutionize neurodivergent talent management. From 13 participating companies, 4 key initiatives were born. By June, these teams were pitching to 12 top-tier executives in a Dragon's Den-style breakfast sponsored by Baringa. After some fierce bidding and negotiations, there was drama in the den. Every single team walked away with Dragon sponsorship. Today, you are in the Dragon's seat. You'll hear their pitches, see their progress, and discover how you can offer collaborative support as an additional dragon or a team member. To start us off, please welcome Christine Olsen, David Cardell, and Derek Powers for Team Mindshift. Over to you, team.
Hi, thank you very much, Marilyn. I'm Christine Olsen, and I have spent 10 years of my career in HR. And 2 years ago, I returned to my home in the finance department. That combination is what has shaped Mindshift. I understand the value of empathy and inclusion, but I also understand time pressure, cost discipline, and how leadership teams operate in the business. Most organizations know that neurodivergent talent exists across their workforce. The challenge is helping our non-neurodivergent colleagues understand how everyday work environments can feel for some neurodivergent people, not in theory, not through policy, and not through diagnostic labels. Without that understanding, behavior rarely changes at scale. Mindshift is a short, high-impact workplace experience that's built around a filmed first-person video. And through post-production, normal office conditions like noise, interruptions, and ambiguity are deliberately amplified. Nothing is exaggerated. It's just everyday realities made a bit more visible. Mindshift uses non-diagnostic language, so it doesn't rely on labels or disclosures. Instead, it's creating a shared reference point. Participants are experiencing firsthand how the same environment can be processed differently, and then that experience becomes a basis for reflection. Importantly, while Mindshift is designed to build understanding of neurodivergent experiences, the principles that it surfaces benefit everyone. More thoughtful practices improve performance across the wider workforce. Mindshift itself fits into 15 minutes of an existing executive or team meeting. It requires minimal setup, and it can scale across organizations without adding unnecessary cost or complexity. Mindshift is about to move into pilot sessions and will ultimately be made across all of Gain's membership. So please join us in the breakout if you'd like to hear from senior leaders like Derek and David, why they have backed Mindshift and how they see it working within their own organizations. But first, we have a taster video to show you. It came out of a design thinking workshop with Gain. And as a mother to a neurodivergent daughter, I kept thinking back to this video that someone sent me, where it was showing from her perspective what her everyday was like. And I wondered whether we could bring that into an office context to show our neurotypical colleagues what everyday office situations were like for some of our neurodivergent colleagues.
David reached out to me. I was there when you came up with the idea at the design thinking workshop last year, and I remember being quite fascinated by the idea. And I also remember thinking that it's incredibly ambitious from a third person perspective, and didn't quite know how you were possibly going to bring it to life, frankly.
Mindshift is designed to build empathy and education around neurodivergent perspectives. I think if we can do that, then that will really encourage better workplace practices that are inclusive, that will help us recruit and retain neurodivergent associates who've got so much to offer the industry.
Ben has this thing where he'll come to me with ideas, and he's done it for a very long time. So I met him, he'll have like an idea and he'll come to me. He came to me with this project, and specifically this project is very personal to my heart. Like I think a lot of people involved, it's a very close project to them. When Ben came to me with it, I immediately was like, I'm in on this one, I'm all in on this one.
I mean, as soon as Ben told me about the idea, it was something that I instantly connected with, and I thought it was a project I'd really want to get involved with, especially in workplaces where there are very specific ways to go about things, like culture can feel quite regimented. I think it's just really helpful to see what it looks like from a neurodivergent person's perspective, because I think there are really subtle shifts and adaptations that can be made to workplace culture that can create a more productive environment without any massive changes in your day-to-day, really.
It's really personal to me. I'm neurodivergent. I do struggle with a lot of this stuff myself on a day-to-day, and because I don't present, I've had days where I wear shades in the office. It looks ridiculous. And then I explained why, and there's a little bit more understanding. But I think if there were to be something a resource that could be created to better explain the challenges that neurodivergent people face.
The process itself was just about 3 months in total of figuring out what you guys wanted out of it as well. And then we slowly kind of built it together. We quickly identified that we're going to need a good camera crew. We locked those guys in, they're amazing. We need actors, and luckily I knew an actor. And it was like this beautiful building block that's got us to where we're at today.
I'm hoping that this is the start of something special in creating resources and starting these kinds of conversations. And I'm excited to see where it leads.
What I think about for Mindshift is that it becomes this tool for empathy, but a really practical, scalable one that doesn't require a lot of cost or time for people. And I want this to scale in a way that leaves people with something, but without them having to give a lot.
And we're back.
And we're back. Well, thank you so much, Team Mindshift. So as Christine mentioned, her two dragons, David and Derek, will be available for questions in the breakout section, which we'll talk about in a minute. I know Richard mentioned that before, but next up is Team Playbook. So we have Prabi Man with her two dragons. Derek again, we'll see him again in this one. And we're so thankful for his sponsorship here, and Aileen Matheson.
Perfect. Let's see if I pop up automatically on the screen, or if somebody has to work some magic on that.
Mark is doing his magic to spotlight you. So I see Derek and yourself, and we're just waiting for Aileen to be spotlighted. Fantastic. We've got all three. Just need
super. You can see me. I'm not on my screen.
You are spotlighted. I know the people being spotlighted you can't see. Just need Christine to be removed from a spotlight, please, Mark. Thank you. Right. And Prabi, just let Mark know when you'd like the one slide shown, please. Over to you.
Sure. Perfect. So my name is Prabi Man, and my background is in investments and asset management. So I'm looking forward to speaking to you about the playbook and what we've been doing. And I think we're all here today for exactly the same reason, and that's because we recognise that with 1 in 7 people in our industry identifying as neurodivergent, we've got a great opportunity to help individuals perform to their best. But to do that, we need more than just good intentions. So we came to the conclusion last year during the working groups that the best way to build neuroinclusive organisations was to collaborate and to work together to create practical, industry-specific guidelines to eventually create a toolkit that's a live toolkit that works as a playbook of best practice for our sector. So when I shared my own diagnosis with my previous firm about 5 years ago, my manager and I were just struck at the lack of policies and guidance that was specific to neurodiversity. The resources we had were just too generic, they were too clinical, and to be frank, they just didn't speak the language of investment and insurance. So we're building this playbook to address that, because we want organisations to have the right tools, but also importantly, not to have to start from scratch. So all of the organisations on this call, everyone's at a different stage of their journey. And we believe that by sharing knowledge and sharing best practices and examples of real case studies, we can raise the bar for the whole industry at the same time. And there simply isn't a tool like this available right now. Mark, if you could please just share the one pager, that would be great. So what's it going to look like? And the playbook's built on 3 pillars. It's going to have a section about raising awareness, where we'll probably be linking to the Mindshift video and other GAIN tools, building inclusive workplaces, and recruitment. And we're already making really good progress with volunteers from firms like Schroders, Aspen, BlackRock, NFU Mutual, Octopus, and others on that first pillar, on awareness. And today we'd like to invite more of you to join us. So if you think your organisation does a fantastic job on something specific and you would like to highlight it as an example of best practice, or if you personally would like to contribute some of your time to this project, I'd invite you to come and join us in the breakout session. And during that session, I'll be explaining how we work, how short the time commitment is, what the different chapters look like, and what the overall playbook will be looking like and how we'll use it. So we'll hopefully also have time to do a quick brainstorm on one of the chapters in that session as well, depending on how many Q&A sessions, questions we have. So I'd invite you all to join that and to bring your curiosity, and we'll hopefully have a great conversation on how you can get involved. But for now, I'd like to hear a little bit more from our sponsors. So this is the first time that I've done sort of a fireside chat virtually, so hopefully it'll run smoothly. So we'll bear with me a little bit. So I'll start with Eileen. For those of you who don't know, Eileen is the CIO at Aspen, and probably like to start with a question about what motivated you. So what personally or professionally motivated you to choose this initiative to sponsor, Eileen? Why is it important to you?
So from apologies everybody, my voice is a little bit croaky, but from a personal point of view, I have two neurodivergent children, and I can see as they progress through their schooling and into university and even trying to enter the workplace, how challenging it can be for them, and even as your mother, sometimes I don't know how to help them out for this. And it kind of links in nicely with what we're trying to achieve at Aspen, which is we really want to create, and we do create a positive culture, a very inclusive culture, and we're really committed to the well-being of our colleagues. So for me, when I see the great skills and the talents that my kids have, but then the challenges that they face when they're trying to get into education and the workplace, this really resonated with what we're trying to achieve at Aspen, which is to ensure that we have an inclusive workplace. And that's really important to us because we believe that more inclusive workplaces foster greater innovation and are more dynamic and so on. However, whilst we're reasonably big, we have like 1,200 employees, we do have a relatively small resource team, and therefore being able to share our experience and to learn best practice and see best practice from other firms that are involved in GAIN is really important for us. And I believe that there's power in the effort of the collective to bring out great ideas and to help your knowledge and best practice.
Thank you so much, for sharing that. I think as a parent of a neurodivergent child myself, it's great to see the direction that so many of us want to take our organisations in, and I hope that things will be almost normal for them to have these practices in place by the time they're at working age. I wanted to ask about topics. I guess if we step back, at the moment, different firms are potentially reinventing the wheel by creating their own policies and procedures starting from scratch. And there's, as you mentioned, great value in pooling the resources and trying to create an industry standard or starting point. Are there particular topics that you at Aspen think are particularly important for having collaboration sitting behind them to create the best practice, or areas that you think your firm would like to focus on?
So I think, obviously the big topic is always kind of workplace and inclusion, and how do we ensure that our workplace, our working practices are supportive of neurotypical, neurodiverse people. That's really important, I think. So policies and how to support managers as well in terms of that journey, and tools around having those conversations, and making sure that people are more understanding, I guess, of the needs and different working patterns and so on for neurodiverse and neurotypical people, I think is really important for us. So I think it's that part, and then also how we work. As I mentioned, innovation and fostering a dynamic environment is also really important for us. So making sure that, particularly people have the right sort of working space, the right tools available to them through software, or, just even their desk setup, simple things like that is also really important for us. But yeah, that's a part. And then the ongoing piece about development, how do we focus on ensuring that neurodiverse people have the right development tools available to them and the development support as well, which particularly is tailored towards them.
Perfect. And I think that's what we're hoping to achieve with the playbook. It's really about supporting people through their whole career journey from day one in terms of what adjustments might need to be made to bring them in. Well, actually pre-day one, which is looking at recruitment and how we bring them in. And then it's what adjustments need to be made while we're onboarding to support them. And then throughout their whole career journey, how do we make sure that the policies are in place to support them to perform to their best? One last question for you. So if we do some crystal ball gazing and look into the future, let's assume this playbook is now on the desk of every HR manager in our industry. How different do you think the experience will be for a neurodivergent individual in that scenario compared to, say, me 5 years ago?
I suppose if I think about it, it would be that you don't feel that being neurodivergent is making you feel any different to somebody that isn't. Okay, so it's not actually something that we talk about. It's just accept that we have a workplace that's inclusive and can support everybody to bring the best in themselves to work and to really succeed within their career. I guess that would be the ultimate aim, that we don't think about it as being something that we have to do, pay particular focus. That it's just how we do things, right? It's just part of life. And that's what I would love.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I'll take it to Derek now. Derek, I want to ask how you see the playbook practically helping your organisation in supporting neurodiverse colleagues. What do you think are there sort of differences that you will see in place?
Yeah, it's interesting. I'll just pick up on a point that you made a moment ago, just to emphasise that. I mean, by the way, hello to everybody. I hope you're having a good Friday. We look sometimes that this is a HR problem to solve for, and I don't think it is. I think it's a general leadership, hiring, culture thing that we want to work through together. So the playbook, when we first heard about it, one of the main things that attracted me to it is we're all trying to solve for similar things. I think most firms, regardless of how far along we or firms in general are, we're all in relative infancy. And so something, and Aileen, you mentioned this as well, is can you pick the best ideas? So it's almost like a crowdsourcing of, no matter whether you're at the start or you're further along in the process of figuring out whether or not it's about raising awareness or, making a more neuro-inclusive workspace or recruitment or onboarding, there's always something to be learned. So the people sometimes that are front runners in terms of, how you might think about onboarding or inclusivity, the people then who start to think about it and come in may leapfrog your thinking, and being able to bring that back in quite quickly is a really important thing. So the whole thing about this is not it's a HR playbook, it's actually a leadership cultural playbook in my mind, because a lot of the things within it, and this is a great endeavor, we should definitely be trying to do it, is about bringing that together and sourcing ideas and improving. It's like, Project, you mentioned this thing which really resonated, which is it's a living document. It's not a static thing. And so if it's not going to be a static thing, then we all need to fit into it regardless of what area we are.
Let me give you a chance to blow your own trumpet, or the Schroders trumpet. And let me ask that, are there certain things that you think Schroders already does very well that we could use to showcase as an example of best practice in the playbook? Because a big part of the playbook is including real life case studies on contributions from volunteer organisations. What do you think we could put in about Schroders' experience?
Well, Well, look, I've spent almost 20 years at Schroders, so as a firm, they're obviously doing something right that I've been here for this long. And I think one of the things that we do very well is think about inclusion through a lot of different lenses. I think from a neurodiversity point of view, I think there is an acknowledgement at all levels through the organization that actually neurodivergent people have something different to bring to the table. I operate within an investment function, and I'll just give an example. At one industry committee that I sit on, someone said, how do we attract neurodiverse talent? And my response to that was, we've got a ton of neurodiverse talent, which just don't really deal with it properly. So I think that's something that I think Schroders is doing very well, and we're trying to focus on is, how do we make sure that we provide a workplace that everybody can go into? But I don't think Schroders is any different. Like Ailey made a really great comment earlier. I have a son who's got ADHD. I've got ADHD as well. And it's really about making sure that the current workforce or the future workforce is being set up in a way which will enable them to succeed. And so that whether that's through the lens of, facilitating people who are neurodivergent with having a office environment which is suitable for them, I actually think there's lots of people who are not neurodivergent who could benefit from some of the things we want to do there as well. Like people who are introverted, who don't like noise, are not necessarily neurodivergent in any shape or form, but they could benefit from some of the practices that we might help to initially support neurodivergent people. So I think one of the things that I like to remind people of is, like, if you're a good manager for somebody who's neurodivergent, you're probably likely to be a very good manager to somebody who's not neurodivergent. So I want to kind of baseline it as actually being a good manager means that you can manage neurodivergent people or non-neurodivergent people, or creating an environment and a culture which is supportive of either neurodivergent or non-neurodivergent. Kind of doesn't matter, because it's all part of having an inclusive environment. So, I think Schroders has been very supportive of that. But there's lots of firms, Aileen and I were 2 of 5 people who put their hands up for this. So there was quite a lot of backing to make sure that something right and that we learn from each other.
Actually, leads me on just to my final question, keeping half an eye on the time. If there's someone who's in the audience today who perhaps feels their firm is too small, or maybe too early in their process and journey to contribute, what would you say to them to encourage them to get involved?
I think people sometimes make assumptions that, and they can be absolutely fair assumptions, that firms might be small enough for them, won't have the resource. I talk to a lot of people across, as we all do, talk to a lot of people across the industry, and most firms, regardless of size, are trying to figure out how to get the best out of their employees. So if you take it from a pure corporate perspective, why would you not want to maximize what you're getting out of an individual? And so what you might find is that, we might sort of have an apprehension that maybe it's too small, or the HR area isn't too large. But you made a comment on that earlier, 1 in 7. So if you've got an organization that, is more than 7 people, you're more likely to have at least 1 or 2 people already in that organization, and they might not be speaking about it today, but they might want to help. So I think push, ask questions, even if you're afraid, if it's for yourself. You can always talk generically about, like, what are we doing around inclusion? How does that think about neurodiversity as one part of inclusion? Be brave. I've in the last 2 years, I've been diagnosed because of my son. Initially, I didn't really talk about it, and then I thought, well, actually, if I don't start to champion it, why would I expect other people to do it? So I'd ask people to be brave and start the conversation. There's not much downside to starting it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing that. With that, I'll wrap up, but just wanted to make sure that everybody feels welcome to join us for the breakout sessions, and we'll be talking more about what it involves. You don't necessarily have to be a HR professional. You don't necessarily need to be committing long term. We're looking for individuals who either want to talk about what their firm has done, or can commit some time to supporting drafting chapters, and all of that will give you access to the playbook once it's ready for publication. But yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prabhi and Aileen and Derek. And now I'd like to invite Team Nexus up. So we've got the two leads, Ben Nuga and Jennifer Chaplin, and their Dragon sponsor, Troy Demon. Over to you, Ben and Jen.
Hi, can you hear and see me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can see you. We're just waiting for Mark to unpin or unspotlight the Pravi and also Aileen. So just give us, and Derek, just give us a few minutes so we can have all three of you on screen. We'll pretend that you're just coming on stage, you know, that there's always some transition time, which you don't really get on the online version.
This is true. Walking slowly from my feet.
Nearly there, just one more. Mark, you're doing a great job. I know how tough this is. And he did say he had 40 screens. There we go. We've got all three of you. Right.
Yeah.
Over to you. Over to you.
Thanks, Mark. So, hi, everybody. Thanks for your time. My name is Ben Nuga. I have ADHD and autism. And last January, after a 2-year hiatus, I restarted my career in the asset management industry. When I left 3 years ago now, my self-esteem and confidence in my professional ability were at an all-time low. And I believe that this industry was not for me. And had it not been for a chance conversation with the man who unofficially became my mentor, I likely would have stayed away from the industry. He's actually on the call. I won't call him out because he goes very red when he blushes, and I do not want to embarrass him. But for me, and for many other people like me, the challenge is that turning up to work can feel like a choice between putting on a heavy mask to fit in or being judged for who you are. So this sort of premise and this reality paved the way for the inception of Gain Nexus, this initiative that we're pitching today, which is designed to bridge the gap in understanding by connecting neurodivergent talent with engaged, experienced mentors, and also providing and creating a community where people from all backgrounds, whether you're neurodivergent or not, senior or junior in your role, can come together and have candid conversations about this. Because I feel like there's the corporate lens to this conversation, which is very much employment pathways and initiatives to keep people engaged and reasonable adjustments, but also sort of riffing off Derek's point earlier, there are many parents in this industry, for example, who have neurodivergent children. There are many people who have neurodivergent partners. There are people who have people in their lives who are neurodivergent and will never be able to work in a world like ours that can be quite high demand emotionally. And I think it's important to also create spaces in this industry where those conversations can be had. And currently they're not being had. There's an employment gap affecting 70% of autistic adults. 54% of managers feel ill-equipped to support their neurodivergent colleagues. And 65% of neurodivergent employees fear discrimination at work. So the conversations are not being had enough. And I feel like it's important that we create spaces for these conversations to be had. So we're looking to launch in April. Troy, our sponsor, is here to speak more about why he got involved with the initiative, and Jen, the real driver behind everything. To be honest, it's from an administrative perspective and keeping me in check. Is also here to speak about our next steps and the plans to expand the initiative.
Well said. Ben, is this my time to talk now?
This is your time to talk. I tried to be quick.
I tried to convince Ben offline that I wasn't going to speak today, but I'm Troy. I'm the COO of Beasley. I went to the first round of the Dragon's Den and felt quite passionate about it. I'm the executive sponsor for Neurodiversity at Beasley. We have employee-led groups, and it really struck a chord with me. And I think some of the things that Ben just said and Jen and I caught up recently, which is bringing the industry together, which is very much the GAIN mission, creating a space where we can talk about initiatives, talk about things jointly. I love the concept of mentoring, especially Ben has benefited from informal mentoring and coming back into the industry. Getting more people to speak out about it. Our chairman is quite open about it, and so forth and so forth. So I found it a great way to sort of help drive both our industry and outside of our industry with people coming together, sharing ideas, creating that space where you can ask questions, hooking people up with a mentor, whether they're coming into the industry, changing jobs, looking to see how they can talk about it within their space and a safe space at work and so forth. So I love just the overall concept. I like a lot of the concepts, but this of bringing people together, mentors, people who are neurodiverse or have children and so forth, and creating an environment where we can share information, initiatives that we're doing and so forth. So that and Ben and Jen could sell anything. So I was sold from the beginning, but I encourage more people to come and listen on the breakout today because we'd like to get more people involved. But Jen, you're going to say something more clever than me now.
I don't know how I can follow that, Troy, but thank you. Thanks then too for the reminder of everything behind Nexus. Just to quickly introduce myself, as mentioned, I'm Jenny Chaplin. I'm the Corporate Sustainability Officer at Man Group, and I've been there for coming up to 4 years now. And as part of my role, I have the pleasure of coordinating activity across DRIVE, our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion programme. And within that, I also lead our accessibility work stream, which has a parent and carers branch as well as a neurodiversity branch. And as a lot of people have mentioned, I think a lot of parents and carers in workplaces have children who are neurodiverse. And I've really enjoyed watching Nexus grow, being here at the start, and can really see the need for something like this that I don't think quite exists for at least my neurodiverse colleagues in the industry yet. So now that you have heard the pitch, I'd like to share our simple ask from you. In the chat, or at least I believe in a follow-up, we'll be sharing our Nexus survey. And we've also written some communication guidance. And we would love for you to share these with your neurodiversity work streams and resource groups. This survey will be your gateway to everything, so it's important to make sure you put the correct details in the form. Once you do, you'll receive the details and an invite to register for our upcoming focus groups in Neurodiversity Celebration Week and for our future official launch, as well as any ongoing Nexus updates. So for our focus groups, you're more than welcome to join one or both of them. And the aim for both of them is to achieve the same thing, but just in slightly different formats. But by the end of these focus groups, we hope to understand what you want to see from Nexus and to shape our initial themes and topics for our mentoring circles. So the virtual session will be a shorter and a bit more discussion focused event. When you fill in the survey, you should receive a doodle poll to pick the date for this, but a date has been set for the in-person breakfast event, which will be hosted at Man Group on Wednesday, 18th of March, and will be a bit more informal, network-friendly event where you can meet, again, myself and Ben in person, GAIN, and other people who are interested in participating in this. We'll be gathering feedback and ideas through more personal conversations. And if the virtual format and that sort of more direct discussion isn't your preference, there'll be anonymous feedback cards available to fill in. So in the breakouts in a bit, we're going to be giving you sort of a feel for what those focus groups will be like, and just to start to have those initial conversations of how we want to design Nexus events going forward, so that you can tell your networks and work streams about what to expect at the events during Neurodiversity Celebration Week. And if you also think that perhaps we're missing something we should be asking, this would be a really great time to raise that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Team Nexus. Now I'd like to invite our final team, last but not least, is Team ND Investment Training Video. Now, all the previous 3 teams, Team Mindshift, Team Playbook, and Team Nexus will be hosting breakouts, and we'll give you information about that a little bit and how to join them. but Team ND training video has a slightly different pitch. So while we're waiting for, there you go. So, and here's another example of, I'm sure some of you might have spotted Ben Nuga in the Mindshifts video. Jenny Chaplin has also got herself involved in two things. In this instance, she is a Dragon sponsor for Team ND Investment Training Video, but she's also a team member for Team Nexus. And it's lovely to see our team, get passionate about different things and getting involved in two or more initiatives. So hopefully the rest of you will giving you an opportunity to get involved with 2 or more initiatives. But now over to you, Elliot.
Thank you. So good afternoon, everyone. So my name's Elliot Diskin. I work at Columbia Threadneedle Investments in derivatives legal. I've been in the industry for nearly 30 years. And about 8 years ago, my sons were diagnosed with autism, which gave me the motivation to try and do something to improve the workplace of the future for them. So that's what drove me via our internal company BRN across many years later to GAIN, which I'll describe as a sort of super BRN that brings the individual employee network groups from companies, brings them all together across industry. As DEI leaders across investment management, you all play a critical role in shaping cultures where every colleague can reach their potential. And today I'm excited to introduce a project that supports that goal in our industry. We produced a 30-minute video on neurodiversity in investment management, which is presented by Mika Bliebenicht, who has worked with the Diversity Project on their neurodiversity program. It's a video designed not just to inform, but to engage and to inspire action. Hopefully, as we go on, you'll kind of get the idea of where that USP comes from. So in designing this initiative, we considered what's the most efficient way to offer training about neurodiversity in our industry and to engage and connect colleagues across an organization. And we thought a video. The video is 30 minutes long. It's easy to access and it offers a clear, friendly introduction to neurodiversity. It explains how empowering neurodiverse colleagues is not only the right thing to do, but it's essential to business success and long-term growth. And so we asked the question, why is it essential to business success and long-term growth? Well, neurodiverse thinkers in our industry bring some invaluable strengths: pattern recognition, deep analytical focus, creative problem solving, and fresh perspectives. And our USP is that the video features lived experiences of neurodiverse professionals. Alongside our main presenter, we have contributions from people in investment management who are neurodiverse, or in my case, a parent of neurodiverse children. And we speak about it from the perspective of how that affects us both positively and what challenges we've had to deal with in investment management, and hopefully kind of inspire some cultural change. These contributions ground the message, and we hope will help it resonate deeply with its audience. So I'm going to ask Mark if he can just show a taster clip of the video itself. It's going to be half an hour in total, but this is just a taster.
Neurodiversity describes how diverse we are from a neurological perspective. It considers neurological differences, for example, dyslexia, autism, ADHD, dyspraxia, and others, as natural and meaningful variations of how human minds work. Most neurodifferences are not immediately obvious, and therefore the prevalence rate is often underestimated. But in fact, 15 to 20% of the global population are neurodifferent. So all of us are going to have colleagues, friends, clients already among us. And the differences in brain wiring often come with distinct strengths.
While many in the industry follow consensus, my neurodivergent brain thinks independently. I make real-time connections across conversations, market signals, and client behavior. and I thrive under pressure. The divergent thinking that did not fit in school, it is a competitive advantage in an industry where independent thinking, problem solving, innovation drive alpha generation. Now, as AI transforms our industry, there is a risk it flattens our collective intelligence towards the average and group thinking. This makes divergent thinking more vital than ever. Inclusion isn't a social initiative. It is a long-term strategic capability. For our industry to succeed, we need role models who lead the way in the next generation, where cognitive diversity is recognized for what it truly is, a competitive advantage. Different isn't less. Different, it is essential.
Hi, I'm Hannah, and I work at Legal in General. I've been diagnosed with a neurodiversity for about 10 years now, but I've always known that I've been different to everyone else. People have treated me different, and no matter what I did, I always felt like I couldn't keep up with everyone else. Everyone was always treating me like I was doing something wrong. And when I was younger, I used to really try and fit in. But, I dealt with bullying as a child. And, as I moved into the adult world, it felt like I was kind of living on a different planet to everyone else. I just couldn't seem to get things right. And I would just keep pretending. And it cost me a lot in terms of my mental health and my physical health. I would just try and keep up with everyone else and figure out what was going on, and feel kind of uncomfortable asking questions. So I would have meltdowns when no one was looking. I would just try and survive. What changed really was as I've moved through my career, I've kind of accepted that I will never not be completely like everyone else, and learning to kind of love myself for who I am and accept that I'm different has meant that I am kind of thriving a lot more. So, I have great support currently, and I'm able to just kind of tell people, hi, I'm Hannah, I'm different. And I try not to make a big deal out of it. I'm just very to the point. So one of my reasonable adjustments is just people know that I'm going to be blunt.
Fantastic, isn't it? The thing is just to be able to access these skills, we need to create an environment that allows our colleagues with neurodifferences to confidently use their talents, and not an environment where they feel that they have to bend over backwards and try to make themselves fit in. Now, some of you will say, well, we've got this environment already. We encourage everyone to bring the whole self to work. Yeah, that's great. But allow me to say, there might still be some room for improvement.
Hope you all enjoyed that.
Neurodiversity describes how diverse we are from a neurological perspective. It considers...
Thanks, Mark. Putting that video together, and it's still in its final editing stage, has been a fantastic experience. And there are two people that I'd like to call out and thanks for making it happen more than anyone else. So Jennifer, who's on screen, who you've seen a few minutes ago. Jenny sort of put her hand up and said that the Man Group would be a sponsor of this video and really help to bring it together. And that involved Jenny bringing her colleague Michael Rhodes, who is their audio or their AV videographer, who was very kindly filmed the video, edited it, and basically worked his AV magic on it. And you'll hear from him in a minute. So I'd like Jen to please come on and share why it's important to her, why this initiative has meant something to her. Thanks, Jen.
Thanks, Elliot. Hi, everyone again. I can't take too much credit for being a sponsor. I feel like all I really did was set up introductions. But when I first heard Elliot's pitch, I just really loved the idea. And I think Michael and the team immediately sprung to mind as people who could make it happen. But I think mainly, and as part of my role, I've really seen how important it is to share stories and experiences across the industry and across workplaces, as I do think there are, I mean, as we've heard, there's so many people who think they're alone in what they're experiencing from childhood, making it through these bigger milestones, and I guess making it to work and a job. It can feel quite lonely, and especially with neurodiversity, where individuals are masking and silently burning out, or just neurodiverse individuals who might not hear many positive stories about how different ways of thinking actually strengthen their workplaces. When I first heard Elliot's pitch, I thought this was a great start to the conversation, whether it's among colleagues, between managers and their reports, or for people who haven't felt able to bring their full and true selves to work yet. I really just think this video achieves that, and has so much potential going forward. And I hope that everyone here and everyone who sees it can support it and get it out as far as possible. And maybe people who haven't opened up about themselves, it will make them feel more comfortable to share their story. Or even for neurotypical, non-neurodivergent colleagues, this can maybe gain a bit of empathy and a bit more confidence to take part in that conversation. But again, this is another one that I've really enjoyed being a part of.
Well, thank you, Jen. And Michael, who's on a well-earned holiday, has left us a message, which, Mark, if you could play that.
Hi, my name's Michael. I'm part of the AVM voice team here at Man Group. Basically, if it involves a camera, a microphone, or someone saying, "Can you fix that sound?" that's me. I've been recording and editing this video on neurodiversity in the workplace. And firstly, thank you for letting me be part of this project. Generally, it's an honour. Now, here's the twist. The guy behind the camera, he's dyslexic. And until this moment, nobody here at Man Group actually knew. So how about that? I kept it to myself for a long time because that's what you do. You adapt. You find workarounds. You will quietly work twice as hard and hope nobody notices the struggle, only the results. But that's exactly the problem this video is about. No one should have to hide how their brain works just to fit in. Dyslexia isn't my limitation, it's my lens. It shapes how I see stories, how I frame shots, and how I piece and edit together. So if this video helps even just one person feel like they don't have to mask who they are at work, then every late night in the edit suite was absolutely worth it.
Thank you. And that resonates with me, the point about opening up. After my sons were diagnosed, I kept it quiet at work for about a year and a half, and it felt like a huge weight on my shoulders. So I'd mentioned it to my leaders, but not to colleagues widely. When I eventually did start speaking up, it was a great weight off my shoulders. It allowed me to, I know it sounds like a cliche, but it really did allow me to bring my whole self into work and not basically hide something as huge as, you know, my children, from sort of conversations at work, which was becoming a little bit obvious to people who were starting to question, you know, what's wrong? Why isn't he talking about it? So, you know, again, if this video helps parents talk about it as much as neurodiverse individuals themselves, then I think job done, and we'll have achieved a huge, well, one of our huge goals. So, as I mentioned, the video does have a USP. Well, kind of two USPs. So, number one, it incorporates, you know, contributions from practitioners as well as a main presenter. And secondly, it's sort of it is directed towards investment management. So when we have the contributors coming on screen, they're trying to, you know, what they say, we're trying to get them to say it through an investment management lens. And the reason that we wanted to do that was so that it resonates with our intended audience, which is you guys, which is your staff, which is your people and your organizations. If they can kind of hear phrases or picture situations that, you know, it is to do with investment management, hopefully it's going to mean more to them than, let's say, a generic video about neurodiversity. So with that in mind, we have got what we're calling the living appendix. So this is our two asks. We've got two asks of our audience today. So ask number one is that you consider contributing your own 2-minute piece to this video, which isn't as scary as it sounds. You can do it at home on your iPad, your iPhone, or we can potentially look to bring you down to the Man offices, to their studio. Literally 1.5 2-minute video speaking about yourself, about your own personal journey as a neurodiverse person, or the parent of neurodiverse children, if you prefer, and how investment management, or through an investment management lens, what challenges you've faced, but crucially, the positives that being neurodiverse has brought to your role. And we'll put links in when we finally, or when we finalize the video, there'll be links so you can get in touch with us to provide that contribution. The second ask is that you simply champion the video across your firm, encourage your staff to view it, and maybe consider sort of a discussion afterwards, a watch-along event. For example, we did one at our firm here, where we watched a similar kind of video. It was neurodiverse BRN from another firm talking about their program. And yeah, we had like a watch along, and people could comment and really engage with it. So I'd ask you to consider that, but certainly encourage your colleagues to watch the video. That's why we've made it. We want to get it out there, and we want it viewed. So with that, thank you very much. Hope you found that interesting. Thank you.
Thank you so much, team ND Investment Training video. And can I just say, wow, I don't know about all of you, but like, I'm just blown away again. I've watched the teams pitch. I've watched the teams grow with our dragons. There's so much hard work and effort that goes into these things. And there is also a wider team. I know I've seen the names of you. You know who you are. There's so many of you who've joined, who've also worked behind the scenes. I want to thank you all for all the work that you're doing. And it's a real privilege and honor that GAIN and the Diversity Project can help support these 4 industry-owned and led initiatives. So this session for the next, say, 10 minutes, I would say, no more, is a time to reflect. If you have had any reflections or thoughts of the breakouts, you want to ask other team leads any particular questions. So this is really over to you. You know, and I encourage anyone to use this sort of chat function or put your hand up, and we'll try and call upon you.
So I've got Ben up. Who else do you want up?
Christine Olsen, Jennifer Chaplin, Prabhi Man.
I couldn't see Prabhi in the...
I can see her. She's got a camera on.
Got it. Yeah, she's there now. Yeah, got it.
Yeah. And then Elliot, although I can't see Elliot. We might
I'm
have
here.
lost Elliot.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, you are? Okay.
Marilyn,
perfect,
yeah.
Elliot.
Yeah,
fantastic.
I've got my...
We get Elliot up.
Yeah, all right.
Sorry, Elliot. Right.
Can I start with the first question? Can I just jump in as one of the bigger faces on the screen? I've just signed up for the Nexus on the Nexus link, so that's great. I wanted to ask just a bit more about your sessions that you're planning in March for Neurodiversity Week. What do you have any details on what they'll involve and what that will look like?
Yeah, for the sake of succinctness, I will defer to Jen.
So yes, as I mentioned, there'll be 2 sessions happening in Neurodiversity Celebration Week. I'll start with the virtual session. Now that you've signed the form, we'll shortly be sending out a doodle poll to decide on a virtual meeting. Essentially, that will be around 45 minutes. Or maybe to an hour. We can decide a bit. I don't know, Ben. We'll determine that in a while, because I think, as we've seen, these conversations can develop after we've sort of gotten into them. But it will be a virtual discussion to determine our main themes for the initial mentoring circles and resources that we want to share with mentors and mentees. We particularly want to know and hear about things from mentoring schemes that your organizations or mentoring schemes that you've been involved in the past that may have been lacking in terms of the neurodiversity accessibility piece. And conversely, what things have worked well. We discussed reverse mentoring as an example of something that works really well for the neurodiverse community and could be really effective. And essentially, we just want to hear more about what you would like to see from Nexus, particularly in this pilot year where we're keen to get a lot of feedback and stay quite close to the mentors and mentees, and try and get a lot of feedback after mentoring circles and events that we're holding to make sure that we're addressing the gap that we're trying to fill, essentially. And then the in-person session, just to follow up on that, will be on the 18th of March and at Man Group for a breakfast event. You can attend both if you like. Essentially, it will be trying to achieve the same thing, but in a more informal format. So you can have more personal conversations with Ben and I, share ideas with people in the room, and you can, there'll be a way to feed that back to us through a forum. And also some people don't necessarily want to be involved in the intense virtual conversation maybe, or want to keep their feedback a bit more anonymous. They can share it there.
And riffing off that really quickly, we've lent quite heavily on the mentoring piece of what Nexus is looking to offer, because that's what we led the pitch with last year, and that was the inception of the idea, my experience with the informal mentoring. But the conversation has since developed into like community-based discussions, so just providing a networking group for people, neurodivergent or otherwise, to just have the conversation, because as the stats mention, managers are afraid to talk about it and people are afraid to disclose. So we're trying to create a space where you can have that conversation without stigma, and also supporting parents who are parents of neurodivergent kids, or even have neurodivergent partners or family members, because there might be a designated space. I wouldn't have heard about it for perhaps obvious reason, but I think there is value in a lot of the conversations I've had, for example, as a neurodivergent person in the office place, have been with parents of neurodivergent kids. I'm 27, but only about 10 years ago, I was really struggling at school. I was diagnosed at 22 in my final year of university, and I struggled throughout university. I'm fortunate to have the career that I have now, and that I've had the right people around me, and I've met the right people at the right time. But I think the perspective that I have is valuable, is as valuable for parents of neurodivergent kids as it is for other people like me in this industry. So I think creating a space where we can just talk about it, and that space being centralized and away from internal working groups where people are, where and work gossip is a thing, but a safe space where we're all there authentically to speak about the same stuff, I think is really important. So there are other angles outside of mentoring, and now you can see why I deferred to Jen for succinctness, and I will stop speaking now.
Would anyone else like to raise another question to the team? Just to remind everyone, can each of your team leads succinctly remind everyone what your initiative is about? Because I think, and I will take that on board. I should put up a slide to remind people there are 4 teams here, and it's a bit confusing sometimes because we've lived and breathed it for a year, so we know. So maybe Nexus, in a short sentence, what are you about?
You must have taken Ben.
Maybe I should have asked Jen.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, so Nexus, simply put, is our mentoring community initiative to address the traditional mentoring schemes that exist in our industry that might not be as accessible to the neurodiverse community. We're hoping to solve for that by creating a safe space with guidance for mentors and mentees, as well as mentoring circles, to essentially make mentoring, career development and those conversations more accessible to the neurodiverse community.
Great. Mind shift. So I'm just looking at the order on my screen. Christine, please.
Yeah, Mindshift is a neurodiversity empathy awareness tool that is designed around a first-person video. It's meant to fit into a 15-minute meeting, so that could be a team meeting, an executive meeting, and it's primarily targeted at non-neurodiverse colleagues to expose them to neurodiversity, especially potentially for the first time, and raise empathy and awareness through that angle.
Thank you, Christine. And Prabhi, Team Playbook, please.
Sure. So the playbook is designed to be a live toolkit for organizations to access best practice for supporting neurodivergent or creating a neuroinclusive workspace. It's going to include links to all of the work done by the 3 other work streams as well. It's really about raising awareness of what organisations can do better, and our ask is for individuals to support that by volunteering to help draft the playbook, but also share resources, share your own best practices of your organisation's work, so we can consolidate that and give some colour to the playbook. Thanks.
Thank you so much. And last but not least, Team ND investment training video. Elliot, please.
Thank you. Yeah, so we are producing a video which has a couple of USPs to help it resonate specifically with our investment management industry. It will reference the positives and the benefits of neuro inclusion, through an investment management lens. And it has what we're calling a living appendix, which is where people from the industry can contribute, a 1 to 2 minute video each, which will sort of be added to the link as time goes on, and hopefully grow into a kind of community of contributors. And those contributions can come from people who are neurodiverse themselves to talk about their own challenges and positive experiences, hopefully, of working in the investment management industry, or, as in my own case, coming from the perspective of a parent of neurodiverse kids. So yeah, and the asks were, number 1, feel free to contribute to a 1 to 2 minute video of your own, and also please promote the video in your firms and encourage your colleagues to watch it.
Amazing. Thank you all, teams. Last minute, if anyone has any additional questions, please feel free. I might not be able to see any raised hands. Mark, do you see any?
No, so just summarise that how we're going to get the information out, and that if people after the event want to join any of the 4 teams, we'll have all the links following.
Yes, so I think you've posted all the LinkedIn posts, so that's an amazing place for you to engage with the teams. There will be a follow-up email for everyone, which will have the whole video again, just to remind you what the pictures are. And there will be connection emails for each of the teams. They'll reiterate the ask again for each of the teams, and there'll be connection emails there for you to get involved. So thank you so much, I guess, for joining. Thank you, teams. You've done an incredible job. To close, we were so pleased to have had the Diversity Project open this event. To close, it gives me great honor to invite Catherine Stringer to give us a closing remarks for the event and to see us off. Thank you, Catherine, and thank you so much for all your reactions. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Marilyn, for the introduction, and for everybody for pulling together what has been a fantastic session today. To see the enthusiasm, commitment, belief is so significant, and this is one of the largest growing collaborations in your industry, and I think that's just a fantastic place to be. And to see, you know, I think we've got over 13 companies now involved with this, neurodiversity and investment innovation, and all 4 of these, the intersectionality, each one gives the other more impetus and more credence to actually drive the ambition to ensure that actually neurodiversity is embraced, and that the insurance and the investment industry is a place where people can flourish and do their best work, feel supported, whether they're a parent, a leader, a neurodiverse person. It's been fantastic to be part of this. So I'm conscious for us to all finish on time, but I look forward to seeing all 4 of these progress and to being part of those, and to see this collaboration flourish. So thank you, everybody.